Okay, guys. Okay, so today we're going to be covering session 12. We're more than halfway through. Yay! You guys are like, woo! So I like this because I'm giving this to you in bite-sized pieces. I like the way Ignite is built because sure, I can cover a lot of this all in one day and you'd be drinking from a fire hose. My goal for you all would be to take an actionable step every day. Like, what is one actionable step that you can take with based on what you've learned and take that moving forward? So again, here's my invitation to you is at listening to this session, please let me know. Like, start to take notes of, okay, this is what I will work on today. And it's a great opportunity to hold yourself accountable. And also, it's bite-sized pieces of being able to build your business, especially from the ground up, because you're doing so much to have to learn, well, how is it to be a real estate agent? How do I build my business? How do I set up my entity? How do I do this? There's a lot happening, and I get it. And this is the foundation. So if you can focus on what is that actionable step to create, not create, but to implement systems that are proven already, then you're going to save yourself a headache years from now and not worry about like, oh my gosh, I haven't organized my business and I don't have a strong foundation. So this is definitely helping you develop those habits in order to mm, in order to help yourself in the future. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's keep going. Ah, okay. And as always, we talk about, just being aware of the TCPA guidelines, the do not call registry. Always cross-reference your phone calls against this database. You also are aware that commissions are negotiable. So we always let people know, our future clients or the consumer, that um, the commissions are negotiable. They're not set by law. So that's a conversation we have with them. Also, fair housing. We always want to abide by this. Um, so something to keep in mind, and I'll just read this section to you. Warning, buyer's letters, videos, and photographs may lead to fair housing violations. It's important. Oop, I went too fast, guys. It's important to educate consumers about fair housing laws and talk with your broker before submitting buyer letters. So this is specifically regarding like buyer letters. It used to be something when we're in multiple offers or we're wanting to appeal to the seller as to why this buyer loves this home. It's kind of a slippery slope. So it's a bit frowned upon to do buyer's letters anymore. Um, and then we're going to talk about the AI. Definitely, like I've said all along, just verify the information that you're putting out there. If you're generating anything through AI, please read it thoroughly to make sure that um, it's not saying anything funky in there and that it's grammatically correct. Okay, here we go. Okay, so strengthening relationships. We're still under this basically this section of lead follow-up. And this is some of the most important things that you need to do in order to help feed your business. So today's agenda, we're going to establish the mindset. Remember, real estate is all about mindset. Um, and and it's super important to be able to know like where are we going and how are we going to get there? And also have the mindset like this is my job. This is what I have to do. This is definitely like part of my daily tasks. So we're going to apply follow-up principles for leads to contacts. We're also going to create a 36 to convert touch plan. And then also by the end of today, you'll be able to design and use a MOFIR messages, MOFIR. Um, and we'll talk about that. It's make offer for immediate response. So just as a refresher. And we're going to generate that in order to generate interest, right? Interest in what information we're putting out. We're also going to develop a strategy to grow the number of contacts in your database. So that's really by the end of today, what we're going to be able to cover and move forward with. Okay, so know that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focused action. Sometimes it's easy to try to get creative and be like, let's go chase this butterfly over here. If we're dedicated and we know, again, what is your daily task? Get it done before you start the creativity. Creativity is wonderful, but let's focus on systems and models and get clarification and clarity towards what's your goal. How are we going to get there? What's your priority each day? And focused action. If you do this, and let's say you want a 4 hour a 4 hour workday or less, you could possibly be done with all of this by noon. So if you time block your day to be able to get things done, and then you're saving your afternoon open for appointments and for meeting people, and following up on the business that's coming to you, totally possible. Totally, totally possible. Okay, so here's leads versus contacts. So you've seen this model before. This is the lead generation and database model. Okay, so yesterday we worked on tools to convert leads. And as a reminder, we prospect and market to bring leads and contacts into our database. So let us keep going. I have a question for you guys. Okay, so here we talked about leads versus contacts. Can someone read that verbiage underneath leads for me, please?
You have the right to a one-way conversation.
Absolutely. So under leads, you have the right to have a one-way conversation, right? So leads are people you have contact information for, and you have a way to follow up with them. But contacts are a bit different. You've engaged in a two-way conversation, and it's a value-based relationship that's been established, right? So you can have like a reciprocal conversation with them, and these people expect to hear from you. They know who you are, and they know you're an agent that can help them with their real estate needs. So the goal is to shift leads and make them contacts. Okay. A few questions. So what makes the difference between contacts and leads important? Why is that differentiation important?
Because leads are just people that you're reaching out to, where contacts are people, again, you've established a relationship with. So, you know, one is planting the seed, the other one is letting the seed grow, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. And there's established trust too. I think there's more trust established. There's a deeper knowingness with contacts. Absolutely. So, and with a lead, oftentimes we just have a name and a phone number. We really don't know who they are. And with a contact, we've dug a bit deeper. Maybe we know about their family. We know if they have pets. We know about maybe some of their dreams. We know about what they do for work. So, um, there's more of a connection with a contact. Okay, great. So we're going to focus on building relationships and take market share. All right. So we all intend to be successful real estate professionals, right? And success is built on relationships. So this is a relationship business. So remember we talked about being relationship based, right? So your focus is building relationships and taking market share. So this is a contact sport. How many people can you build relationships with? And remember, you can do this your way, whatever works for you. We've given you ideas to be able to move forward, and find what your superpower is. What is your value proposition? How do we get top of mind? And so let's go ahead and get started with like establishing a mindset around following up with our contacts. Because immediately it's like, okay, well, how do I do this? And really the point of following up is to stay that top of mind. So your database is a garden. And like, I mean, Jeremy, thank you. You segued us right into this, like planting a seed, right? So you're exactly right. Leads are seeds, and your contacts are plants, and the conversion is your harvest. So absolutely yes. So we want to make sure that we are giving nutrients, we're feeding, we're keeping that relationship warm. Um, in order to be able to harvest business from our contacts. So, what do you think about the expression on the slide? Today's conversation is tomorrow's transaction. What do you guys think about that? It might be you,
Well,
Jeremy.
you got to talk to people to, get them to do business with you, in a basic format. So, you know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think um and this point um is totally true, especially with what you shared with me recently. You know, you're sharing information, you're talking real estate, people overheard you talking real estate. It's just you can hear the conversation, right? People hear the conversation, they get curious, maybe they start having a conversation with you about real estate as well. So, you don't know until you start and open up conversations, right?
great.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so once you meet your new contacts, you either do business with them immediately or you don't. Either way, once you've met them, you put them in your database and stay in touch with them forever. Forever, guys. Like I will tell you that I have people in my database that have never done a transaction with us, but they are the folks who are referring business to us. And eventually they may be ready to do a real estate transaction. And so, actually, case in point, there's one lady that was working with my husband when he was working on JBear, and he left, government work. It's been many, many years. And so now at this point, he's kept in touch with this lady. She's referred probably three separate people, maybe four actually, to us. And now here we are years later, and now she's reaching out to us again for herself to be able to do a real estate transaction. So don't discount people just because they're not ready, able, or willing to buy. Um, I think it's important to keep them in your database because um, they'll you're going to cross paths with where they're at or stay top of mind, or they may be your biggest advocate. On the flip side, remember we talked about the bell chart, that bell chart where it's like, oh my gosh, these folks might not be ready to buy or sell yet. And we have like a 7 to 10 year bell curve that shifts depending on location, right? Um, but definitely at this point, she's ready. She's ready to go. So Don't discount those people. Um, there are two things I wanted to point out. So a lot of this applies also to our remember the third C of our Y14C2Ts, communication, seek first to understand. If we have approached our conversations with contacts, this is Maxim in mind. We understand their needs. We can communicate it to our contacts based on those needs, right? So if we've communicated with our contacts, we understand where they're at in the process. Maybe they're not ready. Maybe we're talking their language, connecting with them because we have tags attached to their contact information, and we're sending them things that are of value to them, not just blanket statement to everyone. I think that makes a lot of sense and it's very helpful to you. The second C of our Y14C2Ts in action is commitment in all things. So we're committed to staying in emotional proximity with our contacts. So it's like having a large group of friends, and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I managing this? Well, guess what? You've got systems now to be able to manage this large new friend group. So, so it's great. And it's organized because you're going to be tagging and knowing how to systematically communicate with them. Okay, so we're going to identify the goals. Let's keep going. All right, so we're going to talk about our goals. So lead follow-up. So take a look at this graph and compare it to the wave graph where every person is in your database is on the wave ready to buy. Remember, we talked about that bell curve, right? In this graph, we have a lead generation phase on the left where you're gathering and storing leads fairly quickly. And in fact, you generate leads in days or weeks. So we're gathering and gathering and gathering. But all the way on the right side of the graph, that's the transaction. That's the end goal, right? So, which can last, gosh, from 2 weeks to 6 months. It depends. But the transaction in general, that's our end goal. So how long is the lead follow-up phase? If we have like lead generation, which remember, we can lead generate and gather this information, it could be days or weeks. And then the transaction, which can last a couple of weeks to 6 months. Lead follow-up, I'll give you a hint. Remember that bell curve and the spacing in between it? Depending on where they land, it could be, lead follow-up could be between 7 to 10 years. It could totally be less. Sometimes I feel like it's less. But on one side of the spectrum, it could be as long as 7 to 10 years. And then you're like, oh my gosh, these people came out of the woodwork. They sure did. So, so totally makes sense. Plus, those people that you're nurturing and you know that they are your biggest fans, they'll start to send you referrals along the way. Maybe if they're not ready, someone else is, and we have all these overlapping bell curves, right? Just in fact, this morning, I got a text from someone I had sold a property to years ago. She moved away, ended up renting it. We had been talking about potentially putting it on the market, but she decided to wait a year. No problem. I still keep in touch with her. It's fine if she's not ready to market the property or to do anything to get it moving right now. But I just got a message from her saying, "Hey, I'd love for you to be my mom's realtor. Can you help list her place?" I'm like, "Heck yeah. Thank you. Thanks for thinking of me." So, um, it's one of those things like maintaining, nurturing those relationships and not necessarily dropping them because you're not getting immediate business or it's not worth your time. It totally is. Sometimes it's a matter of just wishing them a happy birthday, checking in on them around the holidays. And I can say because of that nurturing of that relationship, that's why I got repeat business. So I want that for you all. Nurture those leads, nurture, get to know the people who are in your database. Okay. Okay. So number one, we're going to convert contacts to closed business. So, mm, so basically, our goal from session 11 was to convert leads to appointments, and we learned that not every lead is able, ready, or willing to meet. When we encounter folks who are not ready for an appointment, we use a follow-up to stay in contact until they're ready. So if you had to guess, how many times have you agreed to be in someone's database when you were not ready to make a purchase? Think about it. Think about all the times that you've signed up for an email list or a text message for a discount code that you never used,
I feel like that happens when I don't even agree to it.
right? Exactly. And then you're like, unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. Like I'm going through like, how is my email so full of all these offers?
Yep.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so virtually raise your hand if you've ever signed up for an email list or a text message for a discount code. And maybe, great, yeah. And maybe, what if you signed up for a discount code that you ended up not using? That's me. And then lower your hand if you've only done this once. Lower your hand if you've done this less than 5 times. Lower your hand if you've done this less than 10 times or 20 times. Like, so everyone lower your hands. But basically, like how we've done this a lot. Like we're almost trained to like sign up for the discount or sign up for the offer. And then it's like, man, like, but they've stayed in touch with us, right? And we see these emails come through for 20% off or act now, there's this great offer. Hey, here's some information. And then all of a sudden something intrigues catches your interest, and then you're clicking on it and you're like, ah, maybe it's time to buy. So, so it's interesting. So it's just like, you end up receiving multiple messages, and then eventually, when you are ready, you eventually do buy. But in many cases, you might not. Or maybe you've heard about this fantastic product. You've maybe never bought it, but you think, wow, it sounds like it has a lot of great reviews and sounds really interesting. But then what happens is like you have a conversation with someone else. Maybe they're looking for a product as such, and then you sing its praises. And have you ever bought it or used it? I don't know, maybe not. But sometimes these things happen. So I think it's marketing strategy to like send you these emails and stay and really stay top of mind. Um, so the quality and frequency of the follow-up often makes a difference, right? Um, so we have a lot in common with our contacts, and we want to find that commonality, but we also want to make sure that we're communicating with them in a way that is meaningful to them. It's not about quantity, because who here wants to be inundated with emails? I don't. I don't. I'd rather something come through of value, some great information, speak my language, and you've got my attention. So if our clients get quality messages from us, that make an offer for immediate response, that's what we call MOFR, then they're likely to respond, and we're more likely to get business. So here's an example. When we had the windstorm and we were, I in the valley, and there was like a lot of damage. We took advantage and um, sent out messages like, hey, if you're in need of like contractors, we have a list of contractors to be able to evaluate repairs. And by the way, here's this resource. How are you guys holding up? Do you all need anything? How can we be of service to you? Basically, that's what the message said. That was the most responded to message that I've ever sent out. The only other one that we had a great response to was when we had that earthquake right after Thanksgiving, and then we were talking about having kind of an emergency earthquake kit and what it could contain. But just checking in on people, like, how are you doing? And by the way, here's something of service, like, here's how we could be of service, or here's some resources. And how are you guys doing? How are you holding up? And this is what happened with our family, and what's been happening with us. That was really great. That was a wonderful um response. So just kind of think in that way, like what is the offer? What's the item of value that we're going to put out there? So okay, so we're going to identify the goals still. So we've talked about mind share before and how important it's to converting leads to contacts and contacts to appointments. So let's take a look at these stats. So these are NAR stats. So real estate mindshare positioning, the number of agents interviewed before choosing an agent. So let's look on the seller side. So 74% interviewed only one agent. Isn't that incredible? Only 15% interviewed two agents. Everyone else, maybe 11%. So a very small amount of small percentage of the population interviewed more than one agent. And then we have on the buyer side, we have it kind of mirrors. So this tells me that people, if they like you, if they trust you immediately, then they're willing to hire you. That's why, like, it's not necessary if you're brand new to be like, oh, by the way, I'm brand new. If they meet you, if they like you, if you're willing to stay curious, ask questions, hey, if you're not sure, let me research that and get back to you. And you do what you say you're going to do, then absolutely you're going to be fine, right? So, what's important here is to know staying top of mind, be that one agent that people recognize, know, trust, and if you are staying in front of them, and following up, then you will be that one agent. So we're converting leads and contacts to close business and staying top of mind. So this is just identifying that absolutely, people could be in multiple real estate databases. The key is, how are you going to set yourself different and to get to know the person that you are marketing to? It's picking up the phone, getting to know them, tagging them correctly, sending them items of value that's important to them, right? And then go from there. Okay, let's keep going. So we're also going to convert contacts to close business, remain top of mind, leverage mind share for referral business. So like I mentioned before, our clients never stop being contacts. We stay in contact with them because they know other people that we can help. So we continue to nurture them. Maybe they go in a different bucket. So, so especially due to proximity. So if they're moving out of state, it would be great to like just keep in touch with them and maybe give them some general information about real estate in general and just also life. If you have closed clients who are local, and again, those tags, knowing exactly where they're at, what their interests are, how do you stay in front of them with that, then totally, totally doable. I think it's important that you get to know the people, that you be able to tag them and communicate with them the way they wish to be communicated with. Some people really prefer either voice to voice. That's why I think if you notice that when we looked at our smart plans, both plans had at least a quarterly call. So having that voice to voice, as we discussed, is very, very powerful. I'll read this important fact to you. In 2021, NAR found that 47% of buyers who used an agent were referred to them by a friend, neighbor, or relative. That number jumps to 57% for first-time home buyers. So you should be that recommendation, right? So stay top of mind, talk to people, and don't forget to ask for the referral. All right. So now we're going to devise a plan. So you'll already know how important lead follow-up is, and you can use the 19 to connect and 1 to cement plans to connect with leads, right? So we touched on that. So now we're going to talk about how to use the 36 to convert plan to stay in contact long term and gain the benefit of clients and referrals from your database. So communicating with your database. So here's the difference. And you're going to design each touch based on what your superpowers are, right? What value you bring and how you wish to communicate with your clients. So your 36 to convert plan is a comprehensive plan, right? And it has like different layers of input. It contains a mixture of phone calls, newsletters, events, and market updates, home valuations, and other value-based products. The trick is to find what people in your market truly value. Not everyone's going to want stats. Some may want information delivered to them differently. So think about your audience and what's their preferred method of communication. That's something else that I think would be interesting to be able to to look into is like, can you create a tag based on their communication style? Are they more visual? Do they prefer video or newsletters? Or maybe you just do a combination of each. Newsletter, maybe you do a video, maybe you do a quick text. That way it's a layered system. So you're communicating with them in different ways. I also wanted to just state that we have examples, and I will show you where to look at them. There's a playbook that I have that I've been able to like pull a couple sheets out of it and upload it into our Google Drive. But in it has like a play-by-play on what can you expect, and what kind of like what should you highlight in newsletters, or let's say you want to be able to do like a video check-in. It might touch on that. So this this MREA playbook offers like different ways to communicate with your database and touch points. So it'll give you ideas and at least some inspiration. So when you start to build it, you can take a look. And then even in this playbook, it even covers like different types of events that you could design. And you have a lot of resources at your fingertips. If you were to hop on to Connect, like KW Connect, and you wanted to know about like, hey, how do I put together an event or a micro event or get together or a good system for communication, then that's something that I think would be um, really important is just communicating with that database, finding ways how you enjoy communicating and providing those items of value. Um, okay. Do you guys have any questions about this?
No, not really.
Okay. Okay. So one way that we can move forward with knowing how to provide value to our clients, especially the messages that we're sending out, we want to build our connection to the contact by getting to know their needs and their wants. And we want to be able to elicit a response. And in order to do that, we have to be able to write a message with the MOFR, make an offer for immediate response. And then there's 6 connecting questions that we need to cover. So there's 6 connecting questions. One is, who are they? Like, who is your audience? What do they want or need to do? Are they wanting to buy? Are they needing to sell? Are they wanting to invest? Like, who is your audience? Remember, you can put them in buckets. And where do they want or need to do it? Location might be important, right? And where do they want and why do they want or need to do it? Like, what's their why? When do they want or need to do it? Like, so timeline, motivation. Like, is it now? Is it immediate? Is it long term? Short term? So knowing what's important to them and being able to put them in those buckets, right? And then how do they plan on doing it? Is there an investment strategy or do they need to sell before they buy? Knowing that, then maybe you're crafting a message to this particular demographic, right? So I think that's really important. Um, when we start to tag our clients, are they potential buyers? Are they potential sellers? Do they need to buy and sell or sell and buy? Um, and then are they in a holding pattern? Are they waiting till spring? Are they currently renting and then thinking about buying and not sure if they qualify yet? Like, so being able to like know that and formulate a message and group the people who are maybe renting and how are you moving forward with that? I think that's really important. So, um, okay. So what are some like indirect, I'd love to hear from you. What are some indirect MOFers, remember making an offer for immediate response, that you might use in a 36 to convert touch plan? What are some ideas?
Trying to gather a vendors list.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then who would you offer this to?
Well, all my contacts mostly, but definitely the ones who currently own a home.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we could also offer a real estate market update or a CMA for contacts who own their homes, right? Mm, here's a couple that we covered back in section 9. And I'll just read these to you. This awesome house just came on the market. If you're looking for a home in this neighborhood, call me right away. So remember, it's that make an offer for an immediate response. Call me right away. So we're letting them know, hey, that you're still in real estate, right? And that you're listing homes, and that if they, or if maybe there's someone else that they know, want to live in this awesome neighborhood, to call you right away. Simple, 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 but very direct and effective. Here's another one. Interest rates are lowest ever. If you're considering buying now or thinking about refinancing, I could put you in touch with lenders who can work with you. Here's another. Do you now know about the prices of homes in your neighborhood or any area of town? I've got just the report for you. call, text, or visit my website to sign up. And it's like an item of value. It could be they have to sign up in order to receive information, right? All right. So in your participant guide, if you can go ahead and turn to develop your 36 touch plan. And I want you to work on this. So basically, you're going to jot down kind of touch plan messages that would work well for you. So here's an example. You could do lunch and learns on home ownership every June for National Home Ownership Month. And you can tell, tell people about the event. And you can source vendors to help sponsor the lunch. If there's something else of value, for instance, um, here's something that I've done in the past, like I invited an estate attorney to talk about estate planning, right? And so I held an event and invited all of my clients and had it catered, had it sponsored by a title company. And we sold out. We had people there and interested and got business. They were able to invite, friends to come with them. And it got our name out there. We're providing value to our community, right? So there's so much that you can do. So take a moment and just write down a couple ideas. And after you've written down a few, if you have anything you'd like to share, I'd love to hear it. And here's another one. If you want to do like a client appreciation event, you want to rent out um, a park, just a gazebo, and you can leverage, um, vendor affiliates. It could be anyone like title companies or lenders. They can help pay for catering or bring food and beverages and good music and just have a picnic party with everyone, right? Does it mean that you have to have closed transactions with these people? No. If they're in your database, you want to just show appreciation. And you don't have to do big events that cost a lot of money. You could do micro events and just touch on the people who are your biggest advocates. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you enjoy baking, or maybe you just enjoy putting together like little treats and um, delivering them out for Valentine's Day, saying, "Hey, I really thanks for making my business sweet." I don't know why I keep jumping to that, but like, you know, thanks for
You
being
got sugar on the mind.
yeah, I got sugar on the mind, but I'm thinking Valentine's Day because, we want to love on people. So, you know, you can think of something catchy and be like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm thinking of you. And maybe you drop off, some chocolate or whatever, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, what ideas do you have?
For events, I'm thinking more spring on things, but plant swap in a flat top hike.
Yes, absolutely. Again, doing things that are fun for you. Surround yourself with the people who like the common things that you like. Excellent. Anything else? Anybody else have ideas? All right. Yeah, so there's tons of ideas out there. Um, I'm going to pull up some ideas for you. And we're going to go ahead and take a break. And we'll come back here at the top of the hour at at 10 a.m. So go ahead and take a little bit of a break. I'm going to pull up some ideas, and that way we can round out your 36 touch plan. All right, guys. Catch you here in a few. Okay. So getting back into developing your 36 touch plan, I wanted to just share a resource. This is not in Ignite, but it is in KW Connect. You can access this. And all I did, and let me show you what I did. I went into Connect and then I typed in touch, and they'll talk about like touch campaigns, 25 unique sphere of influence touches. Mm, Here, the 60 touch program that wins, build a low-cost 12-month touch program. So if you need inspiration, you have it at your fingertips. Okay. So I'll show you one thing that I did. I pulled this one up, and this one happens to have like a 60 touch program. Do you need to do 60 touches? No, please just start simple. So this allows you, like, why it works. So it allows you to capitalize pre-built trust, frequency of impressions gains mind share, right? 1 in 10 people in the database convert to a closing over time. It's a systematized machine, and it gives a 30-to-1 return on investment, ROI. So here's the secret sauce. The consistency and the frequency of impressions, and forming a nonprofit and using a 16-word question when calling the database. Who do you know in the community with an urgent need who we can serve financially? Right? So that's one item of value I think is really nice. And you don't have to form a nonprofit, but maybe knowing if there are any needs in the community, can you be a networker? Can you network and connect people? Also, like, things to consider when creating touches, frame your content by answering a question. We talked about that. Like, write down the 20 questions you get asked the most by buyers and sellers, and answer their questions and make these a basis of your communication. If you're not exactly sure yet, can you use AI to help you figure out what the most asked questions or the most searched topics are for either buyers or sellers? If you want to focus on one demographic, focus on that. Make it personal and keep it local. Here's a tip here. And put direct calls to action and MOFers on everything. We just learned about MOFers. So here are the touches. They do 36 emails, and they actually give you some ideas. 12 hot listings, right? And then they give you an idea. If you don't have listings, do you have to use yours? No. You can totally leverage other people within KW's listings as long as you have permission from them. Okay. 12 video emails, maybe answer a question regarding the market. Remember, we talked about face-to-face, voice-to-voice is important. Video helps bridge that gap between email and actually getting face-to-face with someone. Text emails, the state of the market, right? So, and text emails just means like, it's just information that you're providing. Direct mail, if you decide to do direct mail, like you're mailing them a newsletter or sending them postcards or a handwritten note, right? Something personal. The cheapest way is probably just to send them a postcard or a handwritten note, something that, say, hey, I'm thinking of you. I was thinking about you today. Or I saw this and it made me think of you if you knew that they have a common interest. Items of value, you know, you can do like a market evaluation. You can do, send a notepad with a magnet or something small. But remember, we want to lead with revenue. So you're making money first and then using that money from that you've set aside for a marketing budget to be able to pay for this stuff. My goal for you all is to try to create business organically by building these relationships before you go spending money. Once you've had a closing and you've set money aside for your taxes, that's first and foremost, okay? And then secondly, you have a budget for your for your marketing expenses. Then you pull from those marketing expenses or that budget that you've set aside for marketing expenses, and that's when you can pay for something, right? Doing a referral directory, that's super cheap. Like a great reason to call people and say, hey, do you have a vendor that you like using? I'm trying to put together a referral directory, right? And then again, other items of value like a calendar with magnet, we talked on that. And then client appreciation events. What if you did a giveaway? Does that mean that you have to spend the money for the giveaway? Leverage. Like maybe you have different vendors help support um help support a giveaway. You don't have to like focus on one. Maybe you have one vendor that is offering like a discount code for their services, or someone else who's willing to throw money in towards, a giveaway, like a $200 reservation to a restaurant for Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is coming up, guys. Or maybe, hey, here's 2 passes to the Nordic Spa. You have a whole bunch of things to think about. Or maybe here's a family pack, a pack of 4 tickets to the Alaska State Fair. You can make it a giveaway. Hey, leave me a review and enter for a chance to win these tickets or something, right? Thanksgiving, we did a pumpkin pie Thanksgiving giveaway. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of ideas here. And again, see, they're saying here, a quarterly call, important to call people just to deepen that relationship. And then here's some conversation examples. They give you examples here, like a care call. Who do you know in the community with an urgent need who we can serve immediately or financially? If it's not that, who has an immediate need that maybe I can connect them with someone or some resources for help? Or, hey, how are you doing? How's the new year treating you? Do you have any dreams, any goals for this coming year? Any travel plans? Great opportunity to just talk about their dreams, about them, asking questions and keeping it client-centric. If you have an event, great. You can invite them to an event. Home ownership, right? Or an item of value. Hey, I just want to make sure that you got, this whatever that I sent in the mail. So this gives you ideas if you're like, where do I start? The other thing I wanted to point out is when you come here to KW Connect and you type touch, maybe you do a playbook and maybe there's different things that you want to touch on. You want to maybe master your newsletter. Here's a newsletter playbook, right? Here's a contacts playbook. These all come from the MREA playbook. So if you were to click on this, it might not show you individual pages. It's something that would need to be purchased. You want to host a seminar? You actually can open this up, but I'll go back to newsletters. So let's say I click on that. And so this will have some resources for you. Let me actually go back here to newsletters. Yeah. So here you're going to have like a bunch of options. And actually, these are links, but sometimes they have the PDFs available. And you can just look for the PDFs. Ah. Stand by. Okay. Yeah. And I know I've like played around with this and been able to pull some of these playbooks open and really take a look. If you're wanting to get into AI, they have the AI playbook here. This is a PDF version. So they talk about, hey, how to understand it. How do you become discoverable? How do you put it out there, the cons? So it gives you kind of mini lessons, and this is all I just wanted to point out so you can explore. All right? I hope that's helpful. Okay, let's keep going. So I want you to think about this. If you have 200 contacts in your database and you put them all on a 36 touch plan, how many touches is that per year? Who's good with math? Go ahead. I'll tell you what it is. It's 7,200 touches. That's a lot. Some of you might be like, whew, that's a lot. That's exciting. And don't feel overwhelmed by it because if you have systems and models in place, it'll do it for you. Or you'll follow a task. You just have to focus on what step you need to take right in front of you and keep going. Right? So if you have these built up, all you'll have to do is to pull up your tasks each day and what is your one job each day, and you could be done by noon, right? So after you lead gen, after you follow up with your sphere of influence, then you focus also on working on the business. Okay. Here's something to think about. So we have the 1 year goal, and we know we need to break that down by month, week, and day to be able to set that goal from now. Like set that goal now to be able to get a plan in place. So in your participant guide, turn to goal setting to the now, and let's take a look at your guide. So the steps here are to start with how many of the people in your database are contacts. So people you have permission to have a two-way conversation with. So think about what that number is. You're going to multiply the number of contacts by 4 to calculate how many phone call touches you'll make this year with your contacts. Do that now. And then you're going to divide the total number of telephone calls by 12 for the number of calls you need to make each month. And then we take that number and divide the number of calls each month by 4 to find out what number of calls do you need to make every week. And divide the number of calls per week by 5 to get the number of calls you'll make every day, 5 days a week, to call each contact in your database 4 times a year. And what did you guys come up with? What's your observation going through this exercise?
It's not as bad as it seems.
No, it's not. We're chiseling it down. You know what your daily activity is. Mm-hmm. All right. So touching on this, remember you can leverage tools like Smart Plans and Twilio and Command to make your touch plans consistent and less time intensive, sorry. So there's helpful links, like if you've been through the 36 command challenge, there are links in that to be able to show you how to use Smart Plans effectively. You can also use the Connect tool and also the KWIQ to be able to help set up your Twilio account. Make sure to add tags to your contacts. It's really important. And so in your participant guide, you have the opportunity to do that. Like, how are we going to group these people together? You can also use the question mark icon in Command to find answers and tips on how to use Command. But now we have the KWIQ, and that's very helpful as well, as long as you get pretty detailed about what it is that you want to do moving forward. And then you can explore the Smart Plan library to see what other people have created for Smart Plans, and then copy it into your own library and make it your own. At some point, I will start to create a library to help you out with this, to help give you a jump start. Sometimes it can feel a little bit intimidating to be like, where do I start? What do I do? All I want you to do right now is to explore and don't get lost in the weeds. For me, what's most important is that you make something happen. What is your actionable step today? Okay, that's the goal. Do you all have any questions for me in regards to Smart Plans or the 36 Touch, or how we can create value with our clients? All right. So we're going to wrap it up. This was a quick one, but really it's talking about focused, it's really, really hyper focused on that MOFR. What is the call to action? I'd like to hear from each one of you, if it's possible. What is it that you're doing moving forward to be able to help you? What is the one actionable step that you will be taking today to help move the needle towards executing a plan towards the SMART plans, or maybe there's something else that we've talked about this week that will be helpful to you that you can work towards. Tell me what are your thoughts?
For me, I guess it's kind of two things. I know we talked about yesterday taking more time and blocking out time to kind of build the smart plans. I did look into those in command, but I need to actually sit down and build my own.
Hmm.
So I just kind of looked at, where to go and how to find everything. So now I need to sit down and do my own. I think for today's lesson too, for the 36 touches, I've ordered some kind of like door hanger stuff to hang around my neighborhood. And I think that's a good way to get neighborhood involvement. So that'll be part of my kind of 36 touch plan. But I think also just time blocking and taking the time to create a 36 plan.
Hmm. Absolutely. Great. Good. I'm excited. I'm glad to hear it. You could staple chocolate to it.
Yeah, exactly. I know you've got me wanting chocolate. You can't tell a pregnant person. You can't talk about chocolate this whole time.
I know, I know. But seriously, what a great, like, I've seen it. Like I used to do it. I used to like leave little goodie bags. And like if you don't order door hangers, then you can totally go to like is it Office Depot or Office Max, and they have printable ones where you can, it has a little hole and you can make your own. Or
Yeah.
if you don't want to get that fancy, it's totally possible for you to staple a rubber band onto a piece of cardstock and whatever. Like, get creative. The idea is to get out there and meet people face to face, not just, obviously, not just to leave something at their
Yeah.
door, you know, but but I love the idea. Good. Yay. I'm happy to hear that you're taking steps forward on getting out there with the community and communicating. So good job. Yay. Anybody else? Any thoughts? Anything else you'll be working on? I know, Jeremy, you mentioned that you'll be working on newsletters, right?
Yeah, so I'm still working on my to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's going to be a mix of, like I said, recipes, newsletters, videos. I'm trying to get things pre-recorded and set up for the dates. Um, and yeah, I did kind of feel like, I don't know if this is too much, but I was gonna do like a live cooking demonstration of how to make like a Super Bowl appetizer. We'll
Yes.
see. I have a 5-course dinner I'm also trying to cook tonight for my husband's birthday, so that might be
Oh.
a weekend project.
Oh,
Uh,
yay. Well, happy birthday to him.
Thank you. And
Yay.
then, yeah, that really kind of that 19 to connect. What I'm gonna do is build off that for the 36. Um, one of the first things I thought of was sending somebody a coupon for like working with a local coffee hut that I'm very good friends with, and
Mhm.
sending my database with addresses, like, promotional, here's a coupon, have my name and stuff on it. And yeah, that way they can not only they can think of me when they're getting their morning coffee.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Oh, great job. Look, I love how the ideas are flowing. So, look, just follow the framework. Follow the framework of this is what I need to do, the 19 to connect, and also the 36 touch. And then this is where you get to use your creativity, use that as a framework, and then make it you. And then definitely think of like what is the needs of the community, their interests, and then cater it to them. So I'm excited to see this, like what you guys create. By next week, I think you all should already have smart plans in place. I'm gonna try to find some models or some touch plans that are already in place that I think are a good example. And you guys can just use that as a jumping board, kind of like, okay, This looks good, right? All right. We'll wrap up our recording.